Signing on for today's lesson, and our quote for the day is: You do not have to voice every thought that comes to mind. Words matter. They can heal and they can hurt. And this, I guess you can say, is almost like a part two from yesterday's lesson in terms of how is it that we respond to others and extending to them what we want extended to us. So, I can't tell you how many people I talk to on a regular basis that are in therapy because they are dealing with or trying to overcome something that was said to them. Many of them, it was something said to them as a child. For some of them, it was something said to them by a spouse, an ex spouse, or a friend, but something that was just very, very hurtful, something that was very harmful, and something that hit them in a way or landed in a way that impacted them to the degree that they needed to come to therapy to talk about it. And sometimes we may not think about just how great of an impact words can truly have. We've all heard the statement, when you see something, you can't unsee it. Well, guess what? When you say something, you can't unsay it. You can apologize. You can say, oh, I take that back. But once it's out there, it's out there. So we all need to be a little bit more discerning about what it is that we say to other people, particularly when you're dealing with children, but with adults also, but especially with children, be they your children or somebody else's children. And I know we all, as children, heard the little saying and probably said it ourselves: sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Well, trust me, what we have learned, and I see it every day, is that words hurt a whole lot more than sticks and stones. Because you can heal from the bruise of a stick or a stone. That bruise eventually goes away, the pain stops, and you don't even remember that you were hit by a stick or a stone. But words, you remember the impact of the words that someone has said to you or said about you. And so I want us to be a lot more cognizant of the words that we use when we talk to other people. And I know in the heat of the moment, when things get high and hot and escalated, that we can have a tendency to say things that we even just really don't mean in that moment. But once it's out there, it's out there. And once said cannot be unsaid. And so we all need to be careful. The Bible tells us to be slow to speak and quick to hear. But the average person is a whole lot quicker to hear or to speak than they are to hear. And again, once it's out there, it's out there. You can't take it back. And the same way words can have a negative impact, they can have a positive impact. And these are the words that I want us to be more prone to use and lean in the direction of saying something positive or something helpful. So, again, like if you're getting ready to say something to somebody, ask yourself, is this going to be something that is going to be helpful to this person, or is this something that's going to be hurtful? And just because the thought comes to mind, it doesn't mean that you have to say it out loud. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes thoughts come to mind. You may see something, and your first thought may be, why did she come out of the house looking like that? That's a hot mess. Well, don't say that to her, because that could be very hurtful. Just because you thought it didn't mean that you had to say it. Now, if it's a friend of yours and she shows up at your house, you might want to say, girl, let's go on back to your house and let's help you to change clothes into something else a little bit more befitting, or something like that. In any rate, there's a way to say it. But being careful in how you say the things that you say, being careful in your word choices so that you don't do people harm. The tongue is sharp. It can be very, very sharp, and it really can be hurtful, some of the things we say. But at the same time, like I was saying a moment ago, we can also have a very positive impact with the words that we say to people. And I believe that I'm a product of that. I know my mom was one from the time I was a little girl, as far back as I can remember. She was always very encouraging. She was that mom, always affirming. There was never anything that I set out to do that she didn't encourage me that I could do it. I mean, anything and everything. I'd say, "Oh, mama, when I grow up, I'm going to be XYZ." And she'd say, "Oh, honey, you're going to be the best, whatever it was I was going to be that day that there ever was." And she would never say, "Oh, that's so stupid. Who wants to be?" She never did that. She always encouraged me. And I firmly believe that I am who I am today because of those positive affirmations. And the one that I always laugh about when I think about it, I remember saying to her, because when I was a little girl, I had an extreme overbite. When we were kids, we used to call it buck teeth. Well, I had buck teeth as a little girl, and I still have an overbite to some degree today. And I remember coming home one day and I had this revelation. I said, "Oh, mama, when I grow up, I'm going to be a vampire." And she said, looked at me, she said, "Oh, honey, you're going to be the best vampire there ever was." Now, she knew I wasn't going to grow up and be a vampire, or at least I'm sure she hoped that I wouldn't. So, at any rate, I didn't grow up to be a vampire. But she was not going to just cut me down and say, "That's so stupid. Vampires aren't real. How are you going to be?" She didn't do that. She just said, "Oh, you're going to be the best vampire there is." She knew I would outgrow it. So her words were always affirming. They were always positive. They were always something that built me up and never tore me down. And so if you are raising children, helping to raise children, have an impact on children, make sure that the words you speak to them are positive words. Make sure they're words that are going to build them up and not tear them down. And even as you interact with other adults, make sure that the things you say to them are not things that are degrading, things that are going to beat them down, but make sure it's things that lift them up, because that's what we should all be doing for each other, lifting each other up, not tearing each other down. And like I said, it's not that negative thoughts don't come to your mind or something that you think about somebody doesn't come into your mind, but it doesn't mean that you have to say it out loud. I have those thoughts. Yes, even me, I have those thoughts. And oftentimes I think it's a good thing people can't read my mind. Yeah, but just because it comes to my mind doesn't mean that I have to say it. I don't have to give voice to it. I don't have to speak it because, again, if it's not going to build somebody up, why put it out there? So be careful in the things you say, the things you share with other people, the words you use, because sticks and stones can break your bones. But guess what? Words can really hurt you too, and they hurt a whole lot more than sticks and stones, and the effects are a whole lot longer lasting. So just be sure that the words you choose are words that build up and words that don't tear down, because words matter, they can hurt, and they can heal. Make sure the words you speak are words that heal. Okay? That's our lesson for today. Hashtag life lessons, hashtag words of wisdom, hashtag listen and learn. So that's a listen and learning. Well, I guess we are listening and learning, but hashtag listen and learn. Signing off.